What if the fear that's been holding you back your entire life is a lie? For years, we've been told to just face our fears, to be brave, or to fake it till you make it. But if you've ever tried that, you know how hollow that advice feels. Because fear doesn't listen to logic. It doesn't care about motivational slogans. It lives deeper in the ancient parts of your brain that existed long before language or willpower. So, what if the real key to emotional strength isn't about fighting fear at all, but understanding it? Today, you'll learn what emotionally strong people know often without realizing it about how their brains actually handle fear. We're going to break down the neuroscience behind emotional resilience, why your brain reacts the way it does under stress, how some people can stay calm in chaos, and how you can train your mind to do the same. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to rewire your brain's fear system and start building what psychologists call a fearless heart. Part 1. The problem: deconstructing fear. 1. The fear fallacy. Your brain's ancient software is buggy deep in your brain. There's a tiny almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It's one of the oldest parts of your neural architecture, an ancient alarm system designed to keep you alive. Think of it like a smoke detector that was built for cave fires. But now it's going off every time you get a Slack notification or an email from your boss. The amygdala's job is simple: detect threat and trigger survival mode. But here's the issue. It can't tell the difference between a real danger and a psychological one. To your amygdala, a tiger in the jungle and a tough meeting at work are processed the same way. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart races, your muscles tense, and your rational thinking handled by your prefrontal cortex temporarily shuts down. This isn't a weakness, it's evolution. As researchers at Harvard Medical School explain, the amygdala evolved in a world where most threats were physical and immediate. But in the modern world, most threats are social, emotional, or imagined. You're not being chased by predators anymore, but your brain still behaves as if you are. That's what I call the fear fallacy. Your brain as ancient survival software running on outdated code. Example: the modern tiger. Imagine you're about to give a presentation. Your hands shake, your chest tightens, your brain screams, "Run." Why? Because your amygdala interprets public speaking as social death, a threat to survival. But in reality, you're perfectly safe. You're not being hunted, you're just standing in front of people. Your body, however, never got that memo. As Stanford neuroscientist Dr. Robert Sapolsky famously said, "We're the only species that activates the stress response for purely psychological reasons." And that the trap. Your ancient brain is doing its job too well, protecting you from threats that don't actually exist. But here's the good news. That system can be retrained. 2. The fearless brain. How the prefrontal cortex keeps you calm. If the amygdala is your alarm system, then the prefrontal cortex, or PFC, is your command center. It sits right behind your forehead and is responsible for logic, planning, and emotional regulation. Think of it as the calm CEO of your mind, the one who reviews the evidence before making a decision. When your PFC is strong and connected, it can literally override the amygdala's panic signals. It says, "We've assessed the situation. We're not in danger. Stand down." This is the biological foundation of emotional resilience. According to research from the University of Cambridge, people with higher PFC activity show significantly lower emotional reactivity to stress. They feel fear, but they don't live in it. Their rational mind quickly steps in to regulate the alarm. Example: the CEO and the security guard. Imagine your brain as a company. The amygdala is your overzealous security guard, always suspicious, always ready to hit the alarm. The prefrontal cortex is the CEO, composed, strategic, and rational. When the guard panics over something harmless, the CEO reviews the situation and calmly says, "It's just the mailman. Relax. Emotionally strong people have trained that connection. Their CEO steps in faster. Their fear response resets sooner. Neuroscientists at Yale call this top-down regulation, when your higher brain functions control emotional reactivity instead of the other way around. And here's the real secret. This connection isn't fixed. It's plastic. It can be strengthened through practice. That's what emotionally strong people know, consciously or not. They've built a brain where logic and calm override panic and chaos. 3. The chemistry of courage. Your brain's internal battle. Beneath the circuitry, there's chemistry. Your emotional state is constantly shaped by a tug-of-war between stress hormones and resilience molecules. When fear hits, the amygdala triggers your body's stress system, the HPA axis releasing cortisol. Cortisol gives you quick energy, but in chronic doses, it damages your mood, memory, and even your immune system. Now, on the other side of this battle, you have your natural resilience boosters, DHEA, dehydroepiandrosterone, which buffers the effects of cortisol, neuropeptide Y, NPY, which promotes calm under pressure, testosterone, which enhances confidence and approach behavior. According to research from the U.S. Army's Center for Enhanced Performance, elite soldiers who perform best under pressure have higher levels of NPY and a stronger DHEA to cortisol ratio. They don't have less fear, they have better biochemistry for handling it. So the difference between panic and poise isn't just mindset, it's neurochemistry. And that chemistry can be influenced by how you think, act, and train your brain. Part 2. The solution: rewiring your brain for resilience. You can't simply decide to be fearless, but you can train your brain to process fear differently to become what psychologists call actively resilient. Emotionally strong people don't suppress fear, they regulate it. And these next 3 techniques are how they do it. Technique 1. Strategic Reappraisal. The CEO's Memo. Let's start with strategic reappraisal, one of the most powerful and scientifically validated tools in emotional regulation. Developed through research in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and confirmed by numerous fMRI studies, reappraisal is the process of consciously reframing how you interpret a situation so your emotional response changes. Here's why this works. Your amygdala doesn't react to reality. It reacts to your perception of reality. Change the story, and you change the signal. Every time you reinterpret a threat accurately, you're sending a memo from your CEO, the PFC, to your security guard, the amygdala, that says, false alarm. Example: the presentation shift. You're about to speak in front of your team. Your first thought, if I mess up, I'll look stupid. This could ruin my reputation. That's your amygdala scanning for social danger. Now, use reappraisal. This is an opportunity to share value. It's normal to feel nervous. That's energy, not danger. I'm not here to impress, I'm here to contribute. With that shift, your cortisol drops, your PFC stays online, and your amygdala calms down. A Stanford study on emotion regulation showed that reappraisal not only reduces anxiety in the moment, but also strengthens the neural connections between the PFC and amygdala over time. You're not pretending everything's fine, you're teaching your brain to see clearly. That's not optimism, that's neuroaccuracy. Technique 2. Fear Extinction. The threat downgrade. Next, let's talk about fear extinction, one of the most fascinating findings in modern neuroscience. This concept, studied extensively by Dr. Joseph Ledoux at NYU, describes how the brain unlearns fear through repeated safe exposure to previously feared situations. It doesn't erase the old fear memory, it builds a new, stronger one that says, "This is safe now." Example: building a fear ladder. Suppose you're afraid of social rejection. You can't jump straight into giving a TED Talk that's flooding the amygdala. Instead, you create a fear ladder. Step 1. Ask a stranger for the time. Step 2. Compliment a barista. Step 3. Share your opinion in a group chat. Step 4. Reach out to an old friend. Each success sends new data to your brain. I took a risk, and I survived. The amygdala updates its internal model. The alarm gets quieter. UCLA studies on exposure therapy show that this method literally rewires synaptic connections in the amygdala, reducing its reactivity. The trick is controlled repetition, not avoidance. Avoidance teaches your brain that the world is dangerous. Exposure teaches you that you can handle it. Technique 3. Mindful attention. The amygdala whisperer. Finally, we come to the most underrated and powerful tool of all: mindful attention. Mindfulness isn't about emptying your mind or suppressing thoughts. It's about observing your thoughts, sensations, and emotions without judgment or reaction. That simple pause the moment you notice your fear instead of reacting to it is where the rewiring happens. Research from Harvard's Center for Mindfulness shows that 8 weeks of consistent practice can shrink the size and reactivity of the amygdala, increase gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex, strengthen the neural bridge between emotion and control. You're literally sculpting a calmer brain. Example: the 60-second observation. The next time fear hits, do this. Pause. Don't fight it. Locate it in your body. Maybe it's a tight chest or a sinking stomach. Observe it like a scientist. What does it feel like? Heavy? Hot? Pulsing? Breathe slowly. Stay curious. Within 30 to 60 seconds, your prefrontal cortex activates and your amygdala begins to settle. You've just practiced interoceptive awareness, the ability to observe internal states without being consumed by them. MIT neuroscientists found that people with higher interoceptive awareness recover from stress 40% faster than those who suppress or ignore their emotions. This is what it means to have a fearless heart, not to be free of fear, but to meet it with awareness instead of resistance. Part 3. The integration. Building your fearless heart. Let's connect the dots. You now know that fear is not your enemy, it's a misfiring alarm. Your brain's ancient circuitry evolved for survival, not peace. The amygdala is your alarm system, the prefrontal cortex is your regulator, and the connection between them, your emotional circuitry, is trainable. The new model of emotional strength. Emotional strength isn't about suppression, it's about regulation. It's not about being fearless, it's about being fear-wise. Neuroscience from Stanford, Harvard, and Yale all point to the same truth. Resilience is a neural skill, not a personality trait. Every time you reframe a situation instead of reacting, strategic reappraisal. Face a small fear intentionally, fear extinction. Or observe your emotions with calm awareness, mindful attention. You are strengthening your prefrontal cortex, calming your amygdala, and rewiring your fear response. This is what emotionally strong people do not because they were born brave, but because, consciously or unconsciously, they've trained their minds to regulate their emotions at the neurological level. Conclusion. Your practice for this week. Here's what I want you to do. Pick just one of the 3 techniques. Don't overthink it, choose the one that feels most doable. If you pick strategic reappraisal, reframe one anxious thought each day. If you pick fear extinction, do one small thing that scares you safely and intentionally. If you pick mindful attention, spend 2 minutes observing your breath and sensations without judgment. That's it. Small actions repeated daily create neural rewiring through a process known as neuroplasticity. According to research from the National Institute of Mental Health, consistent practice, even just 5 minutes a day, can lead to measurable changes in brain structure within 8 weeks. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to train your brain to stay calm while fear is present. Because the fearless heart isn't one that feels no fear, it's one that knows fear intimately, understands it deeply, and keeps moving anyway. You already have that potential within you. Now you know how to unlock it.